Just like Iraqis, Afghan Pashtuns can identify a surge when they see one. A member of the Afghan parliament in Kabul sums it all up when it comes to President Obama's Afghan war. She says, and I quote, "Send us 30,000 scholars instead, or 30,000 engineers, but don't send more troops. You'll just bring more violence." If Afghan president, they call him the mayor of Kabul, Hamid Karzai, the sartorially impeccable US puppet, if he had any balls, he would say the same thing. Forget about it. Corrupt to the core and linked to the drug business via his brother Ahmad Wali, the neoliberal realists of Obama's foreign policy team are fed up with Karzai, and they want another puppet. Elections are set for August. Karzai wants them next month. Afghans at least are not falling for it.
We will bring the pressure to the Mr. Karzai to take in his announcement back.
Then there's the puppet across the border, the immensely corrupt Asif Zardari, Benazir Bhutto's widower. He's now more unpopular than Bush in his heyday, 19% approval rate. Mostly because he's a US drone that allows foreign missiles and special forces to kill Pashtun peasants who happen to be Pakistani citizens. Zardari's strategy is to make deals with the Taliban. Very good deals. He made a deal with Baitullah Masood, the leader of the Tehrik-e-Taliban. He made a deal with the Tehrik-e-Nefaz-e-Shariat-e-Muhammadi, the so-called TNSM, which led to the release of its leader, Sufi Muhammad. On February 16, the government of the Northwest Frontier Province, the NWFP, they signed a SWAT peace deal. This means that the TNSM will enforce Sharia law in the valley and will not attack the Pakistani government. So this is the model for all the tribal areas as well. Last week, the Taliban and the Pakistani government in Bajaur province, they declared a truce, and that may lead to yet another peace deal. And now, three key Taliban factions, the Masood group, the Gul Bahadur group, and Mullah Nazir group, they declared they were forming an alliance in Waziristan. This means a stronger, more unified Pakistani Taliban fighting not Zardari and the Pakistani feudalistic power elite, but NATO, the Americans, and the war on terror. Now, what do CENTCOM Commander General David Petraeus and Pentagon Supremo Robert Gates, what do they want? Well, they want to talk to the good Taliban. Late last year, a group of Afghan diplomats plus Karzai's brother Ahmad Wali, the guy, the drug kingpin guy, they finally talked to the Taliban with mediation by Saudi Arabia. This means US approval. The Petraeus-Gates strategy, now under Obama, is to shower US dollar bills on any Taliban commander that wants to make a deal with NATO. Zardari is doing the same thing Petraeus-Gates want to do, but much, much faster. Taliban is a very elastic term. It applies to all these people. Number one, the historic Taliban led by Mullah Omar, now based in Quetta in Balochistan, Pakistan territory. Number two, the Hizb-e-Islami, Islamic Party of former Afghan Prime Minister and super warlord Gulbuddin Hekmatyar. Number three, the group of famous jihad commander Jalaluddin Haqqani, based in Waziristan, Pakistan tribal areas. Then there are at least three Pakistani Taliban groups, Masood, Gul Bahadur, and TNSM. And finally, any group of Pashtun peasants who hate foreign occupation, that's about everybody in the Pashtun tribal areas, who had their family killed by the Americans or by the Pakistani government troops, or lost their poppy crops, which means their livelihood. All these, on the Afghan side, they are no more than 15,000 people, according to the Afghan Ministry of Interior, but they are active in 17 Afghan provinces. Now, compared to the more than 60,000 US and NATO troops, not to mention the 17,000 in Obama's surge. How to solve this riddle? For the key to the riddle, watch part 2 of this report.
Donate today and receive a new documentary film available to members of the Real News Network. The History of the National Security State with legendary author Gore Vidal. Bonus features of the DVD include an in-depth response to Vidal from ex-CIA analyst Ray McGovern, who served under 7 U.S. presidents, an exclusive interview with Colin Powell's former Chief of Staff Larry Wilkerson, and an insightful interview with oil policy analyst Antonia Juhas.
The news magazine of the screen. Living glimpses of history in the making.
Hollywood and Washington is a symbiotic relationship. They both deal with illusions. Reality doesn't often play much of a part. I think I saw through the myth of the Cold War almost from the beginning. I was a Washington political kid from a political family. Roosevelt first had radio because he had this great speaking voice and everyone liked to hear. Truman proceeded to break every arrangement that Roosevelt had set up for a peaceful coexistence. And Truman thought that it would be a good idea. Why not just stay armed all the time? And then he devised the national security state. You've got to go up and swear allegiance to the United States or else you're a commie. I mean, we had imported fascism. We get Dwight Eisenhower, who said that we have this great military industrial complex. It is a dangerous thing. And he said this is going to change everything. And the way our country's governed is going to change us politically. Along comes Jack Kennedy, who wanted to make his mark, believed in the Cold War. But he said, in this kind of politics, it is the appearance of things that matters. I think everybody should take a sober look at the world about us. The national security state still exists, only it isn't communism anymore, it's terrorism. This is the most serious thing that has happened in the history of the United States. Knowledge is power. We need an honest news system.
We need the real news.
This is the sort of thing we can build right now without anyone else's permission from the government or from the business community. It's the power's in our hands.
If we're not going to sleepwalk into more wars, we think we need to start with a television news network that won't bow to pressure and has the courage to seek facts. And that means independent economics. And that's why we need you.
Make a tax-deductible donation now of at least $10 a month or a one-time give of at least $75. As a thank you for your support, we will send you the new documentary film, The History of the National Security State.